Bueno, pues rápidamente, hello, hola, konnichiwa, bienvenidos al directo de esta noche. Una vez más, gente que estabais aquí, bienvenidos de nuevo. Gente que no estabais aquí, pues eso, muchas gracias. Gracias por esa regalo de suscripción, Advention. Vamos a ver el directo de Frontier y vamos a comentarlo. Ya sabéis que tenemos permiso para hacer estas cosas. Para ver el directo y hacer la traducción simultánea para que lo veáis todos vosotros. Van a hablar de los planetas y la gente que veáis esto en YouTube, recordad que estamos en directo en mi canal StoreSeeker79 en Twitch, twitch.tv/StoreSeeker79. Venga, vamos con ello. ¿Escucháis? Vale, pues nos han saludado y el señor Bruce nos va a hablar de sus cosas.
There are a couple of reasons for that, I imagine. Partly because of the drops, but also largely, no doubt, because of our very special guest and the contents of our stream today. So we're excited to share lots of things with you.
Y está emocionada que va a compartir la información con nosotros.
I can see some chats were being deleted before I came on stream. Two things to note. One, I won't be checking chat. I'm going to leave that to Bruce this evening, mainly because, as you may or may not know, when I'm in charge of streams, things tend to go wrong. So they are taking things away from me, which is sensible, because the more things I have, the more chance there are that I'll break them. So Bruce will keep an eye on chat tonight. Also, we have very zealous bots in for our chat. So please try and avoid using capital letters. I know we're seeing some messages of support coming in. That's really cool, but unfortunately, if they're in caps, they're going to get deleted. So feel free to resend your messages. But
que tienen unos que está avisando de que hay cosas que pueden salir mal y que tienen unos que tienen bots en el chat y que no escribáis en mayúsculas porque los bots lo pueden.
Painting or a finger painting.
More like a
que estáis muy quieto y que parece una pintura. Le estoy diciendo al hombre ahora.
So we're going to hurry up and get to the main part of the show and our guest.
Vamos a la parte principal. Que tienen muchas cosas que contarnos. ¿Escucháis? Os lo subo más.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meanwhile, I'm hearing from a birdie that Arthur's audio is a little bit low, so while he tries to turn himself up a bit, I will explain the Twitch drop situation. Yeah,
vale,
so
pues
Twitch
que van a
drops
explicar cómo
I think this
funcionan
will
los
be the
Twitch drops.
third time that we're doing them.
La tercera vez que hacen Twitch drops.
Yeah, so simply by watching the stream, you're actually already contributing towards earning the Twitch drops. There are going to be 3 in total. You may have seen these before if you've been present for our previous Twitch drop activated streams. We're giving away some vibrant purple paint jobs, purple SRV and SLFs, as well as purple weapons and engine colors. They're going to be dropped in 15-minute increments. So to get the first bunch, watch 15 minutes, and then at half an hour, and then at 1 hour, the second and third drops will be awarded. Even though you are earning as you watch, you'll have to sign up and link your accounts on our page. Drops, which I see a lot of people spamming in chat. Should link you to the page, but I'm going to read it out as well, just because chat is going by a bit quickly. I'll remind you guys of this later on as well. Twitch.frontierstore.net will take you to the page where you can link your accounts so that you can claim your rewards.
Pues eso, que tenéis que enlazar la cuenta de Twitch, lo que hemos dicho en el momento. Vale. Ahí se oye guay, se me oye a mí bien y a ellos bien. Vale. Es que si no, yo no los oigo y no os puedo traducir. También es un problema. Vale.
3 sets of Odyssey themed earbuds, and I will be giving those away on stream throughout tonight's stream. And also, there's going to be a chance
¿Van a regalar cosas en el stream?
Headset, and I will discuss how we do that later on. So stay tuned.
Y luego van a decir cómo van a dar también unos cascos.
With no further ado, let me flick screens and hope that everything I planned out works here. Please stay working. And there we are.
Está chequeando cosas a ver si van a funcionar cosas.
Dr. K. Ross, thank you so much.
La doctora K. Ross, que va a estar con ellos, lead render programmer, la líder del programa de renderizado.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you very much for the invitation, and hello everyone. How are you doing?
Awesome. Well, look, there's a lot of questions. We obviously, once we knew we had some of your time, Kay, we went a bit crazy on our forums asking people for questions. We were like, look, getting
que ha tenido un montón de preguntas en los foros.
How hard you guys were working. So it was a case of, look, let's get the questions in.
Que ha sido muy jodido cómo están trabajando.
Whatever we don't answer tonight, whatever you once we put in the forums, we will do our very best to answer in a follow-up post tomorrow. So if there's stuff that
van a intentar responder lo mejor posible ahora, pero que mañana harán un preguntas sin respuestas sobre esto.
Some of the questions may not be specific for K or K's team, so we'll try and get into the relevant teams. I did have a look through a quick perusal of the forum. So I will try and get those to relevant teams.
Básicamente lo mismo que os acabo de decir, pero más largo.
Into everything. So, Kay, obviously I got to speak to you the first time since working on Frontier yesterday, and I was a little bit starstruck because I did say to you, I see you guys as like the rock stars of gaming. Like you go and make the cool stuff happen.
Les está diciendo que son las estrellas de rock del gaming porque son los que crean las cosas y los que hacen que las cosas pasen.
So thank you for yesterday, and I put together a little sort of series of questions. So for those that don't know who you are and what you do, Kay, can you give us a brief overview?
Que nos explique quién
That's a very good question, and I will try to remember what words are. So yes, my name is Kay Ross. I've been working at Frontier for about 8 years, and on Elite Dangerous throughout the entire time.
8 años en Frontier y siempre en Elite Dangerous.
Job title is Principal Programmer. So
es la programadora principal.
Codies. Not all of them, but quite a few Cody
Picotea los códigos.
My role, however, is the co-lead of the render programming team.
Entonces es la líder del
which doesn't explain why I'm
equipo
here talking planets and whatnot. We just got a very special render team on the Elite Dangerous project, in that not only is this looking after the engine which does the rendering and the shaders which put all the nice effects on things, but also
with my past, with my physics background, we also look after parts of Stellar Forge, físicas, la forja estelar, cómo se generan las
the
cosas.
environment you're exploring.
Y en resumen, el entorno que tú exploras.
Así
que eso es lo que hace tu equipo.
This is what I'm saying. Like you're so humble about the work you'll do.
Le está diciendo que eres muy humilde por el trabajo que haces. Yo pienso lo mismo, ¿no? Se han creado lo que han creado, es brutal.
So that's 8 years as well, purely on Elite Dangerous. So you've seen from start to now.
Really. Así que estás desde el
principio. Can you talk a little bit about that journey? Like how has that been?
Que si puede contarnos un poco de ese viaje de 8 años.
This is, I guess, the biggest update that's coming with Odyssey. It's without a pun, it's a long leap from day one's first concept, right?
¿Qué opina de que sea un gran salto esta expansión que vamos a ver ahora desde el día 1 de...
This far and do this many additional things. It was originally a Kickstarter for a rebirth of
Originalmente era un Kickstarter
game.
Como un renacer del juego original y que no tenía nada que ver con bajar en planetas. Y sin embargo, mira, aquí estamos, lo que os he dicho yo siempre.
It's been a lot of work.
Entonces es muchísimo trabajo.
But it is fantastic, and I'm still excited to be here working on it.
Todo el tiempo que han invertido y que es fantástico estar aquí trabajando en una evolución del Elite de esta forma.
Yourself in a very limited capacity, obviously in the what I'm doing now, but obviously with the community, to see how far the game has come since it was first sort of created and where it's going and all the stuff that you've managed to do in 8 years is absolutely jaw-dropping, and it's very, very exciting. You mentioned
y este hombre está comentando que eso que es increíble desde los 8 años todo lo que han conseguido en el juego y tal.
And I guess the second part of that question is, what does being a principal programmer and the lead of the render team mean working on Odyssey?
¿Qué significa ser el rol que ha explicado antes trabajando en Odyssey? Primero,
the current render programming team consists of, watch me forget a name and get a bunch of fire tomorrow. So it's myself, the other co-lead, Alkis Lakakis. There's Tom Wiggins, who's been on the project
otro que tampoco ha dicho el nombre. O sea, que ha dicho el nombre, pero que no lo voy a decir. Que llevan mucho tiempo ahí también.
There is Matt Rowe. Mark Vince has been helping us out, and have I forgotten? And of course,
bueno,
Hazel
está explicando
Quantock,
toda la gente que trabaja en su sección.
So it's quite. I imagine with the work that.
Vamos, que por lo que he entendido son 5 o 6.
You said maths there. You do your doctorate is in physics. Am I going to get this right? Please correct me, because I'm going to get
doctorada en física.
Is that correct?
En física.
Oh, yes, yeah. So I'll chat a little bit about what I did, where I came from, and why I'm doing sciencey stuff. And then, because I just realized I forgot to answer the second part of your last question, I'll go into that about what we do.
Yes, please. Yes, far away.
Okay, so for those who don't know, it looks like there's a few in the chat who might remember me. So yeah, I wasn't always a video game programmer. I did start out as a researcher in particle physics. So I did an undergraduate master's in astrophysics and cosmology before making the swap to particle physics. And I did some work situated at Fermilab in the US, which is in Illinois. It's a bit like what CERN is, but a different lab site. I was looking into the differences between matter and antimatter. Little questions like, why are we here? Why haven't we all been annihilated? But then the Kickstarter for Elite Dangerous came along. And
entonces el Kickstarter de Elite Dangerous vino.
Look, and they were very generous and let me start. So I started off as a gameplay programmer.
Meterse en el proyecto y empezó siendo una programadora
of course, they wanted to generate Milky Way for the game trasfondo. So
y lo que estaban haciendo y lo que querían que fuera el juego,
the skills I had from
las habilidades que tiene, vamos, en general, como física, pues parece ser que le dejaron involucrarse más.
That's quite a leap from.
Así que ha tenido mucho que ver en la generación de la Vía Láctea.
Whilst you're here, could you perhaps build us the Milky Way? I'd love to have been in a fly on the wall when that conversation was had. We love the work you're doing, but we kind of want you to do something a bit bigger. Could you build us the galaxy? Was it kind of like that, or were you kind of, look, I can do this, and this is?
Te dijeron, nos gusta lo que haces, pero queremos que nos construyas una galaxia.
Back then, newer on the projects, some of the programmers did various things, moved around a bit. I did a little bit of multiplayer stuff back then. I did a little bit of physics, a little bit of all sorts.
Hacía un poco de todo en
aquel
entonces.
We all settled into our roles and multiplayer. The team as a whole, not just what would become my team, but all of the teams and how they worked well together and what their strengths were. And so I ended up
cuando los
equipos
empezaron a sentar cada uno, pues entonces acabó haciendo la forja estelar.
And then from there it was more practical stuff, render stuff, and ended up making planets and being in charge of the render team.
Haciendo los planetas y estando a cargo
del
equipo de
when someone says, I want you to build the galaxy. Now, we're going to go and talk about the Stellar Forge in a little while and stuff like that. I guess the Stellar Forge has to be created, and that comes first, right? We talk about chicken and egg. I guess the Stellar Forge has to be the first thing you build, right?
Lo primero que construiste fue la forja estelar. Primero hay que empezar, hay que poner el huevo y luego
input some bits of data and we get out all of the space stuff that we want. And so we
muchos datos espaciales.
Build this framework with what raw data we have on hand to feed it, and knowing what we need out in the end, and it's.
Bueno, está explicando un poco cómo crearon la forja estelar, ¿vale?
And so what sort of data would you feed into the Stellar Forge, and how? And so I guess
¿qué tipo de datos le mandan a la forja estelar para que generen cosas?
What is the Stellar Forge? I guess for layman's terms, like me, what is the Stellar Forge? If you could explain it as best you could.
Si nos lo puedes explicar.
Stellar Forge is the game engine.
Es el motor de juego.
Takes some raw data about the
datos a palo seco como diseños,
mass distribution,
distribuciones de masa,
the age regions of
las 8 regiones
our Milky Way from the data we have, and the equations known about stellar lifetimes,
y las ecuaciones como la vida de las estrellas,
disks form, and all of that. It takes all of that data. And it steps through to procedurally and deterministically offer the end a physically plausible series of star systems which represent our Milky Way.
Posibilidad física de sistemas estelares representados en la Vía Láctea.
I mean, that information, I think that's information. Where does that come from?
Vamos, que coge los datos y los transforma en lo que podemos jugar después, básicamente.
This isn't. Okay, cool.
Research papers.
Yes. So that then churns out these star systems. Now, when I spoke to you yesterday, you sort of said it does it on sort of different levels. So it starts at the top and sort of works its way down.
Hay
so
muchos
talk through sort of how that end result sort of works.
Sure. I'll try to keep it concise.
Imagine if you're talking to me. Imagine I know absolutely nothing
Dice, imagínate que estás hablando conmigo que no tengo ni puta idea
so
de
the way
la
that
galaxia.
it
Está preguntando las
generates and
estrellas de los tamaños de estrella, cómo
most
se generan
straightforward
las
and
estrellas.
best performing way of generating this vast amount of data around you is to start big and then refine and get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Dice, la forma más rápida de hacer esto es empezar con estrellas muy grandes, o con algo muy grande, en sectores muy grandes, y ir cada vez
block full of stuff.
Yendo hacia abajo, haciendo cosas
then
más
go
pequeñas.
through and
Básicamente están
calculate
hablando
how
de la
many
forja estelar, básicamente.
instances of the largest stellar bodies that can have any things like nebulae, supermassive stars, and then within that sector there are 8 subsectors.
Dice,
using the
imagínate
leftover
que dentro de un
materials.
sector hay una estrella gigante que lo único que puede
sound
tener
or not. That was on my side. I think it's just the microphone. We're fine.
It's fine.
Don't mind me, I'm rambling.
Son que es solo una superestrella y luego hay sectores en los que hay más cosas, en los que se van generando otras
Fantastic,
cosas.
yeah. So,
más pequeñas.
Then there's 8 layers of concentric cubes going all the way down to one which is just 10 light years.
Entonces van capa por capa, viendo todo lo que se puede generar debajo, hasta las cosas más pequeñas.
So after it's made these concentric cubes worth of these star systems, if you want to go visit or get the information from any one of them, we can then go and generate the child objects of that body.
Puede que una vez que ya visitas ese sistema, entonces se puede generar lo que hay dentro del sistema. Bueno, sabes que hasta que no llegas a un sistema, hasta que alguien no ha visitado un sistema, no se genera, eso es sabido, ¿no? O sea, está ahí la estrella, pero hasta que alguien no ha entrado, no se genera. Una vez que ya lo has visitado, ya se genera. Ya tenemos más datos para la base de datos. Básicamente así es como funciona. Si luego queréis que os explique cómo funciona la forja estelar sin traducir a esta mujer, os lo explico, ya os digo. Que sabemos cómo funciona, lo hemos explicado.
I've got a lot of questions actually, and a lot of questions from our forum posts and stuff. But before I do that, I want to give away a set of earbuds, Odyssey earbuds. I happen to have the case for them here I had sent through. So people might have seen them, but I'll put them, the camera is somewhere there. So these are quite nice. These
unos cascos de Odyssey, ¿no?
Yeah, they are in there. There you go. They are Razer earbuds. Oh, I can't even open them up on screen. So I'm going to give away 3 of these on the stream today. But I think this time, if you just put into chat, I think Bruce, ! Stellar Forge.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Hay que poner exclamación. Yo voy a ir a ponerlo.
We'll come back to this and we'll pick a winner. So it's the first time we're going to give one of those away. And I'll probably chuck in a water bottle and some goodies as well. And I'll get those out.
Así que exclamación
as soon as I can.
Stellar Forge.
So that's that. So that's. I mean, that's a lot of work that Stellar Forge is doing. I mean, I keep saying this, and I've said this on many streams, Kay, like, sometimes I forget that Elite Dangerous is a one-to-one scale.
¿Se imagináis tener un chat así, tío, que
sin... The Milky Way, and every time I go into meetings and I make suggestions,
Stellar Forge.
I'm quite rightly told, like, Arthur, it's not as simple as just changing one thing, because it's changing everything. Right? So we make adjustments. I guess part of what the work.
La forja estelar es el motor del juego que genera los planetas.
Is there pressure on that? Is that a hard thing?
El motor del juego que, joder, se ha pincelado esto. Que genera el sistema. Luego te lo explico, pero vamos, la forja estelar es las estrellas y los planetas, vamos, lo que ves ahí, cómo se van generando proceduralmente cada vez que lo van
viendo. Very much in play there. If you change one thing which affects the Milky Way in terms of any distribution of matter in it or age or a bit of temperature here or there, and then everything in the sector can change. You've got to be really careful.
Yeah, and I guess
cuando haces cambios y tocas la forja estelar tienes que tener mucho cuidado porque cuando cambias un dato se pueden cambiar muchísimas cosas en otros planetas. O sea, tú cambias un dato y como es un sistema procedural se cambia en muchos otros sitios. Hay que tener cuidado cómo trabajas con la forja estelar.
Maybe some data was inputted wrong, and you told me about the spiky planet. Do you want to go into a bit more details about how that happened and what that meant?
Oh, for sure. So,
hay un planeta que le llaman The Sparky Planet.
Jump ahead a little bit. That's issue where development side.
Aquello fue un problema en desarrollo.
Because of not solving, but having to deal with something called the hairy ball theorem. And that if you have a sphere or an object, or sometimes it's called the hairy dog theorem, and it's spherical and you've got hair pointing out all over it, and you want to comb it all smooth all the way around it. You can't. There's going to be a seam somewhere, and that's mathematically the case in a shape of
están hablando de movidas de programación.
However, in generating the surfaces of planets,
Vale, cuando
both
iban a
through
generar las
Horizon and
superficies
beyond,
de los
and now
planetas,
here in Odyssey,
que en
things can
Horizons y
be
Beyond y Odyssey, las cosas pueden ser
sensitive, shall we say, to input data.
sensibles
con
los datos que introduces.
What you can
Porque un
up
valor
with,
puede
what I have ended
escalar
up with is
erróneamente.
essentially a very hairy planet to show the very frustrating hairy ball theorem. So tiny spikes everywhere, and it looks really fuzzy. It's a very, very expensive way of rendering fur, though, so don't recommend it.
Un planeta que le salió un planeta peludo.
Con
muchos pinchos.
It's great. And yes, sorry, I did jump here.
Por un dato que se introdujo mal y en ese sitio se generó así.
Segue, which is intended. That was what I intended with my mistake, Kay. So thank you for saving me. So I guess we're moving on to Planetary Tech, and we're going to go into like what this means for Odyssey. But obviously, so now we have our galaxy, and it's filled with all these wonderful sort of stellar bodies.
Tenemos nuestra galaxia, está llena de cuerpos
but obviously,
estelares.
they've got to look the part, right? They've got to see, if this is a volcanic world or a rocky world or an icy world, etc., etc. So how does that? What happens next? I guess. Because we're kind of, I kind of want this to. The questions I'm asking are kind of like, I want to see how we make the cake. Like, so how does this work? So we've built our galaxy now. How do we go about icing it? I guess with breathing energy.
So,
está preguntando cómo construyen la
specifically at changes in Odyssey for how this works.
I think the chat would probably be
el hielo va a cambiar un montón de cómo funcionaba, de cómo funciona ahora a cómo funcionará en Odyssey.
The last time I did a talk on this, I briefly went over how planets begin not as spheres but as cubes, and there's patches which make up the cube, square patches. Everything gets
lo mismo que dijo ayer, lo mismo que dijo mañana, finales de primavera,
generated for it to represent terrain. And now for Horizons, that terrain is generated entirely mathematically.
En Horizons el terreno se genera completamente matemáticamente.
Representing the kind of shape a hill makes, or the kind of shape a canyon makes, just using maths.
Entonces, genera las montañas o los cañones utilizando matemáticas.
More maths at it. It just becomes not the most optimal way of doing it.
Entonces, el aspecto que tiene al final no es la forma más óptima
entirely different approach to calculating what these offsets on this cube are.
En Odyssey nos hemos aproximado de una forma totalmente diferente a cómo se generan las cosas en el terreno. Igualmente que cuando hablábamos de estrellas, hablábamos primero de una estrella grande y luego pequeña. Un planeta tiene una serie de datos asociados a él. El estrés gravitario. Esto no lo he entendido,
the stresses it's under, how created it would be, things like if it's tidally locked.
Vale, la proporción de este estrés es...
If it's got some ice caps, or if it's got
nos diría cómo de hondo puede ser un cráter, qué tipo de anillos tiene. Cuando partículas de hielo caen en el planeta de un anillo, de un sistema con anillos, ¿cómo quedaría la superficie?
We decide its
y con todo eso,
layer information, its top
hemos decidido que la capa principal de información son
general shapes and regions of interest across the entire surface, and the general types of formations which will be there.
Creamos como una forma general de formaciones y de terreno que pueda
plains or basins, things like that.
Entonces generan una base y tienen como cosas generales que se pueden generar en la superficie del planeta. Entonces cogemos el ejemplo de esa información.
I won't try and say that 3 times in a row. I will definitely fail.
The next layer of information goes down.
La siguiente capa de información es
30, 60, 100 kilometers worth of sections of terrain which are now generated offline through processes to generate actual terrain shapes that we know how they form.
Procesos que generan los tipos de terreno que conocemos.
On our own now. So we have these resources which represent the shapes of the types of features that we'd want to generate in the first place.
Entonces, como tenemos estos recursos generales de lo que queremos que se genere
in the right places across the planet, but now also rotated correctly, so they're flowing into each other, flowing in the right direction, which makes
Vale, entonces van a ser como un montón de recursos que tienen que en vez de generarse todo en matemático y ya está, vale, ya os lo resumo, ¿vale? O sea, tienen como una biblioteca de recursos súper tocha que en vez de generarse todo en matemático siendo una bola de un grid de una bola y ya está, y que matemáticamente vaya creando las profundidades y esos rollos, lo que tienen es un montón de recursos, pues por uno es una montaña, pues se puede hacer más pequeña, más grande, girada, no sé cuánto, y luego se van encajando entre ellos para formar la superficie. O sea, son muchos recursos visuales que formarán la superficie de una forma más chula, en vez de simplemente ir mellando, por así decirlo, el planeta matemáticamente, que es como se hacía hasta ahora. Correcto. Gracias, Suku. Ese es el rol.
And Bruce and I, honestly, the first time we saw it in motion, we sort of sat opposite each other, just stared, and we're like,
y nada, mirar cómo van a verse los planetas ahora desde las naves y todo eso. Estas cosas ya las habíamos visto y son brutales. O sea, molan muchísimo más que antes. Mira. Entonces, dependiendo de los datos del planeta, de la gravedad, de la composición, del no sé qué, los recursos que va a utilizar para generar planetas serán diferentes. Y los encajará entre ellos y los rotará y los hará grandes y pequeños para hacer las superficies más naturales. Básicamente eso es lo que están contando. En vez de simplemente generarlos matemáticamente y punto.
The time to, I guess, to go in and handcraft every planet, right? Because there are literally billions of planets out there to do. So this is the best we could do, I guess.
Mirar qué pasada.
Yes, yeah. So we've got these layers going down from the top level to the 20 or 30 kilometer down to the couple of kilometer down to the getting your eye on the planet. So we are trying to get the detail in all the way down, and also represented from a distance. You can see our detail from further out.
No, el motor de gráfico va a ser el mismo. O sea, el consumo va a ser el mismo. Va a ser generando una forma diferente.
To describe more about why things changed is the system we made for Horizons was good for Horizons. It did its job. I'm very proud of what
el sistema que hicimos en Horizons estaba guay para lo que hicimos en Horizons.
And I really enjoy still to
cambiamos?
this day having a look at the screenshots on Twitter and lurking in people's streams and seeing what they're seeing. But
¿Por qué esto va a cambiar?
To go forward with Odyssey, and not just Odyssey, but to go forward beyond whatever comes next to Odyssey, whatever classifications, whatever types of worlds. I wanted to make sure we get a system in place which is robust and expandable enough to essentially do all those without having to do another remake of any of the
que fuera lo suficientemente expandible para poder hacer más cosas más allá de lo que ya habíamos hecho.
Down to the bottom there.
I mean, you mentioned it there, and it's something we discussed yesterday.
Vamos, que esto es un primer paso para generar planetas que no solo sean piedras, hielos y rocas. O sea, rocas, hielos y rocosas. Entonces me imagino que para generar por matemáticas, matemáticamente, bueno, esto lo explico yo, generar matemáticamente un planeta que tenga, por ejemplo, agua y tierra, un tipo tierra, imaginaros, sería muy complicado, pero si lo hace, o sea, sería complicado que lo hiciera el programa solo y ya está, en plan, proceduralmente como lo hacía hasta ahora. Pero claro, si ya tienes texturas y movidas, que ya tienes unas bibliotecas de recursos, pues será diferente. Vaya tela.
I guess it must be really, you must be really proud to see that evolution from the initial role of, hey Kay, can you build us the galaxy, to now like, hey, now we want to walk around this entire galaxy. So one of the things I want to talk about there, because obviously it will change. This tech is going to go into, now I'm right in saying this, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I do have a habit of getting things wrong here. It goes into every landable planet, right? So
esta tecnología va a funcionar en todos los planetas en los que va a aterrizar, y dice sí.
Is that right?
That is correct.
So no va a haber planetas generados como antes y como ahora.
Could land on before, and the new ones opening up. They will be using this approach.
Sustituye.
The old surfaces couldn't. Well, we can't represent them in this new approach. But we want to use this new tech, this new variety, because you're going to get a larger variety in terrains from this and materials and whatnot. So
nada, que vamos a ganar más variedad en terrenos, etcétera, con esto. Así que todos los planetas se van a generar.
We do a lot of stuff with a lot of our racing communities and stuff like that. And obviously things will change, but I am really excited to see what comes with the new tech. Like I honestly can't put into words. Like we've seen it in some of the trailers and stuff like that, and we'll have more to show you on that very shortly.
Está muy excitado por ver cómo son los planetas nuevos. Bueno, no eres el único, somos todos, cabrón.
The change is night and day. Like when you look at the two, like playing.
El cambio es como la noche del día.
And rightly so, it's stunning. Like I'm still blown away. Every single week we do set of screenshots, and half the set of screenshots will be stuff that's set on a planetary surface, and it still looks incredible and stunning, and the vistas are amazing, the sense of scale. I cannot wait to see what comes with Odyssey and just what people do with Odyssey. And I'm
Dice, no me canso de ver las screens que hacen sin Odyssey. Imagínate lo que van a hacer las screens y las imágenes que vamos a mandar con Odyssey.
I've been very lucky to play around with Odyssey and in the tenuous atmospheres and how beautiful those look. But I also, and I wasn't allowed to do this, but I definitely did move us to another planet which didn't have a tenuous atmosphere, and it was just it also looked incredible. Like everything in it looks just, like I said, like a new game.
Que son brutales como se ven los planetas.
I guess it's how I would feel. You get to create all of this cool stuff, or certainly have a large part to play in it, Kay. And
¿Cómo llegas a crear esto tan guay?
Is it heartbreaking that you only get to see these worlds in a snapshot, right? Like I can visit my favorite planet time and time again, but you kind of have to be like, I've made this now, I move on to the next thing, and you never get to see that.
Tiene que ser bastante chungo que crees uno y te tengas que ir al siguiente.
Like the shadows hit a correct formation on the land. Does that make you sad, or do you take pleasure from other people?
Te hace estar triste o te hace estar feliz?
Yeah, there's a wide range of feelings regarding that. There's
hay un gran abanico de sentimientos.
Can we test every single possible combination that you might find in the galaxy? Make sure it's just right, or
cualquier combinación de cuando estás visitando cosas para probar cualquier combinación de posibilidades que hay en la galaxia para ver cómo se crea.
2 years time. What happens when this other orbit's coming by? What happens during an eclipse there, and we don't get to see all of that, but what I do get to see is
que no puedes ver todas las posibilidades
and on Twitter and everywhere else I look. I do spend a bunch of time
que se pueden ver que no las pueden ver todas, de las cosas que han generado.
Not for stroking
one's
ego, but just for exactly what you said there.
De cosas que
the joy
sabía que se podían hacer, pero no las has visto.
Them discover something, or the interest, or the that's new, that's interesting. I get to feel that as well, as if I'm playing along, even though I've seen that world in a different context a while ago. So
I think it's a very personal thing, right? I mean, I think it was the last stream I was on. I was like, the moments people share in Elite,
el Bruce, tío, parece un sello, el pavo.
They're always very personal moments because it's personable to that person at that time. So they might arrive at a certain star system or a planetary body at a certain time that's unique to them, and only they will share that moment. And I think that's what makes Elite so special. And I think obviously
es un sello, ya te digo.
Planets and those moments are, I can't thank you and the team enough for providing such an accurate simulation that you have done. That is wonderful in that sense.
Qué maravillosa la simulación que están haciendo y que tal está diciéndole básicamente.
About the evolution from Elite to Horizons and now obviously onto Odyssey. In terms of the changes,
muchas de las preguntas son la evolución.
If you had to say, are they more?
La evolución que ha habido desde Horizons hasta Beyond y ahora
Odyssey. Are they more considerable than we did for Horizons? El
cambio que vamos a hacer, o sea, lo que va a venir con esta expansión, el cambio en el juego es más considerable que Horizon, o sea, es más grande que Horizon o es diferente.
There is also the second half of what my team does, which is the rendering, the lighting, which is also one of the things largely changed.
En su equipo también hacen las luces, etcétera. Entonces, no solo van a cambiar cómo hacen los planetas y el suelo, sino también la iluminación. Entonces, en términos de cuantificar el cambio en el juego, Horizon fue brutal, fue fantástico.
introduce full-scale planets, something people don't tend to do because full-scale planets are hard.
A escala total,
we did it,
escala 1:1.
Galaxies are hard.
Nosotros lo hicimos. Hacer una galaxia enorme es difícil.
When it comes to Odyssey, so we've got a framework there of how to make a planet, how to make a surface.
Que lo que vamos a hacer es una superficie.
But the process in which the shape of the surface is decided,
pero que el proceso
handling of the resources which go into it, how to stream in, stream out, how they're combined, and the systems for making all the choices about how they combine. That's also a large undertaking. It has, it hasn't just been a weekend or two's of work. It's been a long undertaking. And
was it daunting when you first looked at it? Were you excited by the challenge, or was it like, well, there's a lot of work here?
It was this is a great opportunity. We can really, make those changes I was thinking of before to make this expandable to more and more afterwards. And I was excited to see what could happen with the code side and the art side, working together to create these assets which are blended and selected planets. And, it was exciting. It's been tough. It's been
que ha sido muy excitante y muy molón crear todo esto.
We spoke a little bit about
y crear todos estos cambios desde Horizon.
Can you go into some details about like, sort of what the tech is and what sort of things players can look forward to?
Yes, just because I want to give good credit to the render people that I've worked with over the years. In that, to provide the visuals going forward, to not only that, but to provide a consistency, shall we call it, in how lighting behavior works. We've made quite a few changes on the render engine side as well. Just to list a few examples. We now have some per pixel lit particles. We have more shadowed spotlights working together. And we also have, finally, materials which are, I know it's a standard and a well-touted term, PBR based, so the physically based materials. They have information about how rough they are, how they should respond to light. And then if we feed in these realistic lighting values that we have now, things just work right, and they work together and they work consistently. And that's part of the reason of why I think the planets are also looking very nice as well, in that we have the combination of lighting from the atmosphere, from the star there, from any light to have personal about one's body going around, and everything works just right. So you mentioned a little while ago on the stream that you went to a planet which didn't have an atmosphere. It looked interesting as well, because the lighting on an atmosphered and non-atmosphered world is different. You don't have the atmospheric contribution as much.
Porque la iluminación con una atmósfera o sin atmósfera es diferente.
Slightly starker look, and I just love that we're able to see that now in our engine.
Entonces ahora lo podemos ver, ahora sí que lo podemos ver en nuestro nuevo motor cómo se hace.
Also getting the looks down.
Cómo se genera. No solo cómo se genera, sino cómo se ve. Pues eso, que hay mucha gente trabajando, ya sabéis, que esta gente graba todos los sonidos, hace todos los materiales, intentan que todo sea realista. Pues eso, ya dice que la gente de la iluminación también trabaja en cómo reflejan las cosas en los materiales, etcétera.
We have to run the lighting mod, and you can see it before the lighting stuff goes in and after. And although the game looks stunning, lighting it's like the icing on the cake. Like it really is. It sort of it's the mood. It just sets the mood of the actual scene that you're in. It really does make a huge difference. So, I mean, the teams that do that are incredible. And you touched on it again, and I keep stressing this, and I will keep stressing this. It's really important. You're doing this on a galactic scale. You're not just doing it for like we're going to do it for the room you're in. It's like we're going to do it for everything within a one-to-one scale of the galaxy. So, and it's absolutely incredible. Now, we had a chat about different planetary types. Now, I asked it, like, I guess, it's a smart question for me, but it's kind of a dumb question for you. But I was like, okay, how many types of planets are there? And you quite rightly said, well, there's like classes and then subclasses and combinations of classes. So but then I asked you, I think, and you gave me the answer that I think excited me the most when I said, do you know roughly how many landable planets there are in Odyssey, and I said, like, is it in the millions? And the quote you gave me, I'd love to hear you say it again because it got me really excited. How many would you say?
Dice que ya le preguntó, le preguntó cuántos planetas había.
I think I just said the word billions, but now I'm thinking in case I forgot.
¿Cuántos planetas hay?
No, you did.
Y dice, creo que utilizaste millones, pero no, dice, no, la palabra que utilicé fue billones. Habrá miles de millones de planetas utilizables, pero bueno, ya lo sabíamos.
I think in the snapshot of the galaxy we looked at statistically, there was 20%
Estadísticamente habrá un 20% más de planetas aterrizables. Pero no solo eso, sino que los que ya aterrizamos, esto es una nota que hago yo, los terrenos son nuevos. Entonces, va a ser todo nuevo realmente. Y es exactamente lo que está diciendo este hombre ahora mismo, así que me he adelantado de tratamiento.
Some of the planet types now get a little bit more extra love. Kay, we were talking about sort of rocky, icy, and now well represented. So, do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So the planet classes are
los clases de planeta,
what I imagine many are familiar with, the things that you see in the galaxy map, the system map, how it categorizes them. These categories are like many boxes in life, human-made and somewhat arbitrary.
Que categorizamos los planetas con las etiquetas que nos hemos inventado nosotros, inventado los humanos para dividirlos.
Those are classifications or lot exploration data for those particular types. That's still there. But
que no son todas las categorías que existen.
The range of information out there
que bueno, son las que hay.
Wider than those.
Entonces el rango de exploración en ese tipo de etiquetas sería mucho más
Sorry, I just got
amplio.
distracted because someone in chat said D0. Someone in chat knows the experiment I used to work on.
Oh wow, that's amazing! It wasn't a top secret government experiment, was it, Kay? Because you sound like you're smart enough.
It was a government lab. But where was that? Come on, train of thought.
Es que me pierdo la mitad mientras hablo,
the
tío.
classifications which get some more love. So
la clasificación va a tener más etiquetas, o debería tener más etiquetas.
Landable classifications were rocky, metal rich, high metal content, rocky ice, and
Está
icy.
diciendo que en Horizon se estaban
However,
icy,
there were
rocky,
two main
ice.
noise graph. Now, a noise graph is the collection of nodes that we put together using that old maps I talked about to generate the shape of the terrain.
Para generar el planeta hicieron un brainstorm.
Rocky icy ended up using the icy graph, and the icy graph uses icy. The rest all used a rocky graph. And due to that, the rocky ice worlds were somewhat not distinct from icy ones. However, in this new system where we are
los rocky ice no se distinguían demasiado de los
which resources for generating the terrain go to which planets, depending on all of their different parameters.
Pero con el sistema
The
nuevo,
rocky ice worlds are going to have
generan
much more distinct
los terrenos, como los terrenos son diferentes, porque utilizan muchos más
terrain
parámetros.
And materials on them, and they'll finally be represented
los ice van a ser diferentes,
much nicer,
muy
which warms my heart a little.
Y dice que por fin eso le reconforta, porque antes eran prácticamente iguales.
When we were looking at, Bruce and I were running around on a rocky icy world, and you can actually see the particles of light being reflected because it's a rocky icy world. And obviously, we have seen some of the screens that I've just popped on again, just for people to take a look at. I think the way these worlds now look and are reflective of what they actually are is incredible, and I think players will be really excited to see that. So,
este hombre está muy excitado por ver los planetas que son y cómo reflejan lo que son realmente.
The headset competition. Now we have a Razer. Now Bruce, I can't remember the name of the Razer headset, but it's a Razer headset that works on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. So this works for everyone. It's a really cool Razer headset. I want to give one away to someone. How I want to do this is I want you to. We're going to run this competition, I guess, until I'll announce it next Thursday, so a week. Now I'm springing this on the community team, so sorry guys, but this is what's going to happen. So I want people to submit screenshots of their favorite planets that they've landed on in Odyssey. In Elite Dangerous, ahead of the changes Odyssey, and I want to share them on social media with the hashtag simply says I don't know, my favorite planet. And that's all I want to share, and I will take a selection of what I think are the best ones. So you have to pass my Crick Live first, and once I've seen that, I'm going to pass on the top 10 to Kay to have a look through, and then can pick a winner.
Y nos pueden tocar unos cascos.
So my favorite planet hashtag and pictures of planets you've landed on in Elite, please. And I will give you a Razer headset. And that's worldwide, so wherever you are in the world, you can take part. And again, this prize is for everybody, so console players and PC players alike. And I guess as well, we should give away another earbuds. Bruce, do you reckon now's about the time?
Yes, that sounds good to me. I think we'll make it so that anyone can enter the Razer headset as well. So we'll open it up on the forums as well as Twitter and Facebook. We'll set all of that up post-stream, so keep an eye out for that, guys. All right, so should we do another phrase then for the earbuds?
I do, but I want it to be Rocky Icy because it's the planet that's getting a lot of love. So can we do exclamation mark Rocky Icy, please?
Exclamation Rocky Icy.
And then we'll pick a winner for the earbuds / goodie bag. When I say goodie bag, I've got like these little water bottles that I can go into the office and get. I'm in the office tomorrow, so if we can get the winners tomorrow, I'll get them all these goodie bags.
Rocky Icy.
So I'll have a sort of swag and add into these bags and send them out. Because you know what, whilst the boss is away, I will rummage through all the cabinets and find stuff that I'm not supposed to be looking at. So,
¿Está vivo? ¿No era un sello?
Cool, right.
De hecho, ahora está mirando la hora para siempre.
The questions, because I know time is running on and I don't want to take too much of Kay's time. So I guess we've covered.
We've done
that one. Okay, two important questions before we move on to the QA segment, and I allow Mr. Bruce to do some speaking because he's been sitting rather beautifully in the top right-hand corner of my screen.
Le va a dejar hablar a Bruce sobre la siguiente pregunta porque ha estado ahí sentado súper bonito.
He has started to move.
Y ahora ya se mueve. Tío, no lee pensamientos este hombre.
What are you most looking forward to with Odyssey when it comes out, Kay? What are you personally
Dice ¿qué es lo que más ganas tienes de ver cuando salga Odyssey?
Well, other than just to harp on about the same answer from a question ages ago, what other people see, what they find of it, stuff that I might not have necessarily come across in the testing. And
cosas que puede que no lleguen.
Certainly the screenshots, the screens of people discovering stuff for the first time, spying on you, or
gente que encuentre, que descubra la superficie por primera
however
vez.
you imagine it.
But when you say it's fine, Kay, if I was to say it, I think people would be a bit worried. But when you say it's fine.
But yeah, it's
and I guess the last
question, the hiking.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I've seen the worlds from a. I mean, yes, you can sim in your SRV, but it is a different perspective.
La exploración andando también le interesa.
And I guess the last question before I hand over to Mr. Garrido in the top right-hand corner there is, what's the best part about your job aside from obviously coming on this stream with us? What is the best part of your job?
¿Cuál es la mejor parte de tu trabajo? Dice.
Oh God, that's. I wish I had the time to prepare that.
Me hubiera gustado tener tiempo para preparar esa respuesta.
Well, who else gets to play with something on this scale, like a big tub of Lego or Meccano, and just being able to build something
poder
at the leisure of my
jugar con algo de esta escala, como si fuera un gran Lego o un gran Meccano, y poder construir
it's what my focus has been on for
algo
many
tan
years,
grande de mi
stuff,
ordenador, que es, por ejemplo, construir planetas.
I mean, I generally mean it when I say it. Like, I do look at you all as rock stars, because what you do is way beyond what I have to do.
Dice que soy como las estrellas del rock porque
how easily you can talk about it because it just makes sense to you, and I'm just like, this is blowing my mind. I'm listening to you talk about like,
dice lo fácil que tú hablas de eso y a mí se me hace un
I can't build like a gingerbread house at Christmas. So this is to hear you talk about it is great. And so yeah, I can understand why that is the best part about your job. So I'm going to stop waffling and I'm going to hand over to Bruce. So Bruce has been going through the forums looking at some questions. Now I just want to preface this before we go in. There were a lot of questions in the forum. Not all the questions were about planets and planetary tech, so they weren't all for Kay. So I will try and find the right people to harass and get the answers for you. And any questions we can't ask Kay right now, because of time, I will get the answers for you tomorrow-ish.
Y eso, que había un mogollón de preguntas en el foro, mogollón de preguntas en tal, y que era un poco complicado conseguirlas todas. Así que responderlas todas. Así que las respuestas que faltan, que mañana lo tendremos en el foro.
I was trying to be polite and listen intently as you guys were talking, but I know everyone in the chat has been really enjoying it. I've seen lots of comments of appreciation and fascination around all of this discussion on planetary tech. So before the stream, we did reach out for some questions from the community, and we have pre-selected some of them just to give some further insights. Additionally, I'd like to give a quick shout out actually to my boys behind the scenes. I believe we have Paul and Zach lurking, ready to, firstly supporting the stream, but also ready to collect some live questions. So anyone in the chat, if you have questions for Dr. K. Ross, post them on the forum thread, which hopefully one of the helpers will post in the chat for us. The forum thread, equally Twitter or Facebook, the threads where we announce the stream will be equally good. We'll have eyes out everywhere, or just in the chat, both on YouTube and Twitch, and we'll pull some of those and try and get to them towards the end. But in the meantime, if I may, I would like to ask some of these questions that we collected already. There'll be in no particular order, so we may be darting around a bit, but I'll just go for it, I suppose. So our first question asks, will large worlds feature tall mountains or geological features? Currently, the larger worlds with high gravity tend to have shallower or flatter craters and mountains.
Si las montañas y eso son muy grandes, si hay más gravedad, serán más altas o más bajas.
Way too often, but there is a reason why the features are shallower on larger planets, and exactly the answer is part of the question. With the increased gravitational strains that you can't maintain as tall a natural feature with the strength of the material it's made out of, so you will end up with
que hay muchas razones por las que la gravedad puede mantener o hacer las cosas más planas, depende de los materiales que está hecho el planeta, etcétera.
So there's a good range of planets, but the tiny ones tend to be able to support the more extreme and spikier terrain because the large things aren't being destroyed by the gravity pulling it all down again.
Right. That makes absolute sense. So it is a question of accuracy rather than we want to have a super giant planet with tall mountain on it. But okay, in that case, I suppose it stands to reason that there will be large geological features, but you're more likely to find them on the planets with lower gravitational pull.
Lo que os decía yo esta tarde de los planetas pequeños tienen mejores grietas y mejores montañas.
In how much crustal action, shall we call it? That's a weird phrase. So things like tectonics are something which you tend to find more on worlds going around Earth size. When you get larger and larger and larger planet, the tectonics become something less likely to occur unless there's more extreme circumstances going on. And so there's all sorts of curves about what happens where and what range of bodies you're going to find.
Sure, thank you. This question actually popped up a few times, and it hadn't really occurred to me until I'd read it on the forums. But there is a particular interest in this, and the topic is rock scatter. So players are asking how rock scatter may be different in Odyssey, and in particular,
las piedras esturreadas por el planeta, ¿cómo será diferente en Odyssey y cómo se determina?
Sorry, I'm seeing a lovely. I'm going to take that as a compliment to that person in chat. You know who you are. So scatter stuff. I've got my eye on you over there. Scatter stuff, that has changed quite a bit. So with Horizons and beyond, small rocks, yay bigger, so maybe a little larger, and they are placed around the player as they go along. There's not too much logic driving it. It was a CPU-based placement.
No tenía mucha lógica. Simplemente se salían literal.
We have what we call the scatter system. That word scatter again. And
el sistema de esturreo.
What this is doing, it's sending data through another noise graph. The noise graph, the thing I said before, the collection nodes, the maths which decides what goes where.
Otro gráfico de ruido,
now we
que
have,
es el gráfico que hace...
essentially different collections of things which are expected on different areas of different types of planet, depending on those resources chosen, so you get a wider range of things being put down in different patterns and different densities, all depending on what should be there, and it's going to make the surface, well, it's more visually interesting, hopefully more interesting to drive around as well.
muchas veces más interesante.
Yeah, definitely. Even while playing briefly with Arthur this past week or so, I found myself staring at the ground a lot more than I might in a game normally, just looking at all of the details and the rocks. But I'm a little bit of a level janitor.
Esa conversación que estáis teniendo aquí ahora mismo en Twitch no tiene cabida.
I love that term.
No tiene
level
lugar.
Janitor.
Yeah,
no, that is amazing.
But no, I'll inspect everything, and in particular, it was really nice to see that level of detail on the ground. All right. Will atmospheric worlds feature weather effects such as wind and dust?
Okay, so for these
ya he explicado esta mujer
Odyssey,
el porqué
gotta be careful of what I say.
de por qué ha acabado programando. En realidad
With
está
these things coming with
relacionado
Odyssey,
con
what you'll see is certainly some things caused by wind on these thinly atmospheric worlds. So there will be some visible dust
viento, etcétera,
moving around.
En planetas en los que pueda moverse el viento.
Team has set up.
Y el efecto hay un equipo que se encarga
that's
de
a lot of words for me saying yes, there'll be some effects visible on the surface.
Va a haber efectos de aire.
Okay. I think that's good enough. Yes is the answer.
Va a haber viento.
How will the new planetary tech affect I don't want to get this wrong, volcanism, and the integration of volcanic features into the terrain?
Como el nuevo motor genera los volcanes.
The royal we are familiar with fumaroles and these small-scale volcanism regions
volcanes,
like
fumaroles,
that.
Etcétera.
Now, we will be using the aforementioned scatter system to ensure that these are placed on volcanic regions or volcanic worlds. So they'll still be there. They'll still be there.
O sea, para que los o sea, que van a utilizar el sistema de esturreo para crear los
planetary bases and
sistemas volcánicos, así que esos todavía ni están en el juego. O a eso entendí.
Place them where they are.
Cómo la Forja Estelar los pone en el lugar
actually, which I'll reserve until the answer, I suppose. But initially, the question is how does Stellar Forge place planetary bases? Does it sort of create a level area for them to go down on, or do Frontier have to manually check and place them and adjust
¿Cómo pone la Forja Estelar las bases?
So
las bases en un planeta.
Dice,
hay dos formas. Los asentamientos grandes pueden hacerlo bien allanando el terreno y poniendo la posta o buscando un sitio donde encaje. Pueden ser las dos formas.
Or a little bit of a deviation if they're a crater port. What came later on in Horizon for the Thargoid bases, for the ancient sites, the Guardian sites, we use a terrain stamp.
Al principio buscaban un sitio concreto
this is what the terrain should look like
con los guardianes.
And then we can tailor what goes where in terms of objects on the level, and also make a little bit of the terrain around it, how it blends in.
Entonces crear una forma en que se fusionara, que los objetos en el terreno se pusieran en su sitio y que hubiera desniveles.
It's not there now in the open game.
Entonces, dependiendo del tipo de estructura, se coloca de una forma u otra.
And ask a question, because you just made me think of a question, Kay. Have you or the team ever hidden something? Like, because I would, even not to see your face, but have you ever gone like, I'm just going to put this here, and only I know this is what I've done, this is my little stuff. Have you ever done that?
Well, that would be telling.
Sí, se supone que el viento afectará, ¿eh? Si hay viento y el viento es fuerte, se supone que afecta. Se supone no, afecta a la nave seguro.
I wonder if there's a human being alive who could resist the temptation. Right, so...
Sorry, yes, terrain stamps. I've got a little more information there.
Yes.
If I should continue.
Sorry, Kay.
No, it's I just remembered the train of thought and running after it on the station before it goes forever. So there's some changes to that for Odyssey as well.
Hay cambios en Odyssey en cómo se genera el terreno.
These stamps would only be at one particular level for one spot on a planet. We've expanded it a little bit so that across a stamp itself, there can be variations of the height it's calibrated to. So you can have some more interesting levels made with So multiple
vale,
levels of
va a haber multiniveles en las estaciones, etcétera, etcétera, porque han metido un nivel más interesante en el que una estación no va a estar solo en plano, sino que va a tener diferentes niveles de profundidad. Entonces, pues vamos a ver construcciones más interesantes. O sea, me imagino que habrá bases nuevas que molen y que no solo sean la base, sino que tengan diferentes niveles en el terreno.
Was that this player gives the examples of Cortez and Kraken's Reach of bases which sit
La temperatura no creo porque son atmósferas ligeras.
Is the word they used on the top of long ridges, and they want to know if bases like these come about randomly or if some locations are hand-picked for the spectacle.
Okay, so this is maybe the less exciting answer, but there are various sites in Elite where the buildings, the levels have been hand-placed to sit on places like that. The majority of sites found procedurally, because not all of them are done by hand, there's far too many. They do look for sensible regions of terrain where one might want to build there because it's stable and flat enough. So whilst they can choose an area which happens to be near a canyon, more of them are a little sensible and not directly on the edge, but the designers like to put in some excitement there, and I agree with them. Those are nice spaces.
Great, thank you very much. That does cover the questions that we had hand-picked, although I have had a few come through from the guys behind the scenes that our lovely audience have asked in real time.
Luego os hablo de eso, de lingüe.
I want to pick some out and make sure that they are appropriate. Not that our players would ask anything inappropriate. What I mean by that is something that you would be the right person to cover. So will atmospheric planets have visible poles with different biomes?
Los planetas atmosféricos tendrán diferentes
so
polos.
This is just reminding me of a long-running internal debate over terminology, and if we can call them biomes, if it's not a biological-based separation. I mean, there are things to discover on planets. I won't say too much. So we've ended up using the term geomes, which I don't know if that is actually accurate or real or not, but we coined the term geomes, and there are. Yes, geomes across the planet. There are polar caps where there should be mountain-forming regions and plains and all of the nice stuff.
I love the thought of
va a haber diferentes ambientes en el mismo planeta.
Me and Bruce will argue.
No va a ser el planeta todo igual, como pasa ahora.
You're all sat arguing about like
a veces cambian de color.
And me and Bruce are like, well, what's your favourite? Spring onion should always be in a blue packet and it should always be in a green packet. That's the sort of arguments me and Bruce have. So,
maybe I shouldn't burst the illusion too much, but a lot of my lunchtime conversations were about 80s cartoons.
The best cartoons. You're referring to the best era in cartoon history. Yes, correct. That's fine. And these are debates that only the greatest minds have, Kay. So this is fine.
I mean, I know not to advertise other companies, but even representing here.
Thundercats, that's Lion-O, right? That's Lion-O.
Oh, yeah.
And see, I just and I mean the original Thundercats. I mean the new ones are fun, but then just
hablando de los Thundercats ahora, no me preguntéis por qué.
One of the greatest theme tunes. I'm derailing a little bit here, but the 80s cartoons, there was just a series of theme tunes that were just incredible. You couldn't move for them; they were all amazing. I'm actually wearing a Ulysses T-shirt, so there you go. So we're all rocking the 80s cartoons. But anyway, sorry, Bruce.
Very nice. Ulysses. Is that a subtle hint, Arthur? Is that a sort of high IQ?
I wish I was that smart. I wish I was that smart, Bruce.
Okay.
Or am
I? Our next question, actually, this is a nice one. It's personal rather than Odyssey specific. The question is, do you feel more fear about space as you learn about it and come to understand it, or less?
Dice, cuando tienes más miedo cuando vas aprendiendo sobre el espacio y cuando ya sabes cosas sobre el espacio, o menos.
What I found at the university.
Lo que yo me encontré en la universidad.
Yes, you start learning about, okay, yes, we're on a planet. This is a planet, this is a star, this is how they're formed, this is the scale of them, this is the physics behind it. And things start going larger and larger. And you start using scales which don't make sense to humans anymore.
Escalas que no tienen ni sentido.
Especially going to particle physics, you use everything in electron volts and giga electron volts. And yeah, it becomes hard to humanly envisage, and one can start dissociating, trying to encapsulate the universe in your mind in these models, and it's somehow so far removed from ourselves and our observations and our tactile interactions with it. So, yeah, less scary,
de esos rollos. Y que ahora
oh my word, it's
menos, le da menos miedo, pero más...
Indescribable is a bad word to describe something. But
indescriptible.
Does it still excite you, Kay, space? Does it still, I guess it must do, right, for you to do what you do, but does it still have the same level of excitement that you had, I guess, going into what you do?
I wish I had more time still for reading papers and keeping up to date on things. That's just me and my personal life and whatnot. But the interest is still there. It's just I need an extra 3 days in the week, an extra 6 hours every day.
Tiempo para leer más cosas del espacio, pero que le gustaría tener 3 días más en la
Great. No, that's fine. I suppose we're running a few minutes over, and obviously we don't want to steal too much more of the lovely Dr. K's time. I'll ask 1 or 2 more questions.
Que se está pasando de tiempo, dice el hombre.
So this player asked, can you give us an idea of how many variables go into determining a planet?
¿Nos puedes dar una idea de cuántas variables
or is that a question that doesn't actually sort of make sense? Is it answerable?
Too many variables for that answer.
So I'm trying to remember the buffer size of some of the variables sent into the noise graph.
Está pensando cuántas variables.
Dozens to hundreds, I think. And that's just for controlling the visual differences on the surface.
Decenas.
Wow. Lots of variables.
Okay. So many ingredients.
Cientos de decenas, creo que ha dicho. Cientos de decenas de variables.
All right. I suppose I'll pick this as the last question for now then. And anyone whose question didn't get answered, as Arthur mentioned earlier in the stream, we'll follow up with a post on the forums. So this question then might be a little bit underwhelming. I feel like maybe we should have ended on the question about fear of deep space. That's fine. I'll ask this one anyway. Will rings cast shadows on the planets that they encircle?
Vale, los anillos harán sombra en los planetas a los que rodean.
I genuinely don't remember if we've
Genuinamente no se acuerda.
It'll be something players will have to discover by the looks of things.
Eso es algo que tendremos que descubrir.
The answer might be maybe.
Yes.
It's not something I've looked at recently, and I've genuinely forgotten what we've done about that. Which is a terrible thing to say on stream amongst thousands of people.
Es algo terrible para decir en stream, pero eso es algo que han trabajado hace poco en ello y no se acuerdan.
Dealing with building a galaxy. I think it can be forgiven that you can't remember every single detail.
Has construido una galaxia, habéis construido una galaxia, creo que se puede perdonar, que se te haya olvidado un pequeño detalle.
The work yourself and your team have done firsthand for Odyssey, as an elite player first and foremost, I am, I guess, a bit like yourself, very excited for players to see what you've done. It's incredible. It generally is incredible.
Está excitado de decirle lo increíble que es el trabajo que han hecho como jugador.
But it is insane what's been done with the Pantotech. It's incredible work. And I'm very excited for people to see this and experience it firsthand. I'm equally grateful for the amount of time you've given us this week, Kay, and both yesterday when I was sort of picking your brains about stuff, giving you time and letting us run slightly over and all the prep work and stuff. I think I speak for the chat when we just want to thank you and the team for the amount of hours you're putting in and effort to make Odyssey, to get Odyssey over the line and make it as wonderful as what it's going to be. So I guess from before Bruce and I wrap up, I just want to say thank you once more for coming on. If we get some more time in the future, if you get some spare time, we would love to have you come back, Kay. You're always welcome on the show. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank all of you, and not just you two and everyone behind the scenes, but all of you in the chat as well. I know it's cheesy and everyone always says it, but it's all you lot that make it all possible and allow us to keep driving forwards and make it worth it. So thank all of you.
Gracias a todos nosotros.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to flip back to me and Bruce. And Kay, thanks a lot.
Que les han hecho seguir adelante y seguir haciendo.
Oh, one last thing. I want to.
I nearly pressed the button, Bruce. Bruce,
the last possible moments. for anybody in the chat, or watching the stream today, Dr. K, if they would like to follow you, or are intrigued by yourself and your escapades, where might they keep tabs on everything you get up to?
Right. So yes, I do some personal stuff online, and whilst it's not always the science driven, sometimes it does come up. And it's certainly not the same for work stuff. I've got to put the warning out. I'm not allowed to talk about work stuff and private stuff. Long answer, but I'm on Twitter as Dr. K. Ross, same as my username here on Twitch, and I stream on Twitch under Dr. K. Ross. I will type hello in the chat. Hello, it's me. There I am.
Dr. K. Ross. Bueno, buscamos Dr. K. Ross en
Normally in our
Twitter,
team
seguro que lo
groups,
encontramos.
okay, we call that being Garridos. Just as you're about to leave, Bruce is always the person who just goes, oh, just one more thing, and everyone sort of sighs.
That was a good interruption. Se han puesto fotos.
Okay, thanks again, Kay. We're going to jump back to Bruce and I'll speak to you soon, Kay. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
See you soon. It's been a pleasure. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Bruce. Well, that was I always get.
El sello. Bruce, el sello. Vamos a llamar a partir de ahora. Muchas gracias.
Now, what we're going to do is I still have a set of earbuds to give away. I haven't forgotten. I know people in chat are probably thinking, I'm not seeing chat actually. I can't have too many screens open. But you said you were going to give away 3 and you only done 2. Well, I'm going to give away the third one now. I'm going to give the third one away now. And again, I want you to put exclamation mark Garrido in the chat. There you go. Garrido in the chat. And one of you will win a set of Odyssey earbuds.
Pues ya sabéis, exclamación Garrido.
Cool
cascos
swag
de Odyssey
that goes with it. Just to recap today's stream, there's a lot that obviously Kay was speaking about. I wanted to give you guys a behind the scenes of just how the work that goes on to make not just Odyssey, but just Elite Dangerous Tech in general. And to try and get a grasp of like making changes in a game this vast is no small task, and it takes people with a brain the size of Kay's to do that sort of work. Because it really isn't as easy as flicking a switch and turning it from red to green as such. But it's always great to have some mind share from Kay. We have had Twitch drops running. The show has been running for an hour and 22 minutes since we went live.
Una hora y pico, tenemos los drops activados, así que me imagino que hemos estado 45
minutos. I think of the show you would have gained
os habréis llevado los drops.
So you should have those with you. We've given away three goodie bags, which I will hopefully be able to make that tomorrow, making sure that you
en 7 sitios diferentes.
I guess they email community, Bruce, or will you reach out directly?
We can reach out directly, so keep an eye out on Twitch and YouTube for a message from us.
Yes,
vale, que tengamos un ojo en Twitch y en que mantengamos el ojo en Twitch.
Questions we couldn't answer today, I know there was a lot in the forum post, so I will do our level best to get as many answers out tomorrow. And some of the questions I'm just going to be, as always, just be honest. Some of the questions weren't necessarily for Kay, so I'll have to go to the relevant people and ask those questions.
Si me tocan, no me pueden tocar,
as you can imagine,
bloqueados.
they are all very, very busy people. So the last person they want is me hammering on their door asking them questions. But I will do my best, chat, to go and make a pest of myself. I think. Bruce, is that me? Are we done? Is that us? Are we finished?
I reckon so. Yeah, once again, thanks to Dr. K. Ross for joining us, yourself, Arthur, for hosting and interviewing. I know that was very insightful and exciting for a lot of the, hopefully all of the audience. And as well, shout out to Paul and Zach behind the scenes for helping us run the stream as well.
And all the mods, they're always
and the mods, yes,
always fighting the good fight for us. Thank you. Now, I'm going to end the stream, but I need to be really clear on this. Because it's me running it, I hadn't downloaded all the assets, so there isn't actually a thanks for watching screen because I'm rubbish. So if I do just goes blank, it's not because I'm being rude and horrible. There will be a raid, so stick around for the raid. Who we're going to raid? So when we do sign off, it's not being awful. It's just that I forgot to download the thanks for watching screen. And I said prior to this, Stephen would be so proud of me doing all this. And always last minute do I get it wrong. But it wouldn't be an after time we stream if something didn't break. So from Bruce and I, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. Have a lovely weekend. 07 Commanders.
Y como yo no tengo permiso para ver las redes en los canales de otros, aquí lo que hacemos es que ponemos la pausa y dejamos de capturar esto. Pues está guay, gente. Esto luego lo subiremos a YouTube. No sé qué me dirán si lo subimos a YouTube. No lo monetizaremos, por si acaso. Y ya está. Creo que ya subimos 1 o 2 una vez y no hubo ningún problema. En teoría, tenemos permiso para todo esto. Así que en teoría no. Tenemos permiso para hacerlo en directo, pero la verdad es que no pregunté si para subirlo a YouTube. Pero bueno, yo lo preguntaré y ya está. Ya lo subiremos y ya está. Así que nada, muchas gracias a todos los que habéis estado aquí en directo. Espero que os hayáis enterado de algo. Ya sabéis que como van hablando y no dejan de hablar y yo intento traducir, pero están hablando de otra cosa que de repente me interesa, me cuesta hacer la traducción simultánea. Espero que os hayáis enterado. De todas maneras, para la gente que os quedáis en Twitch, ahora hacemos un pequeño resumen. Y para la gente que lo veáis en YouTube, pues ya sabéis, pasaros por mi canal de Twitch a partir de las 4, entre las 4 y las 5 todos los días. Tenemos, mira, han hecho un directo a la doctora Kay Ross. O sea, esto, pues mira, me sirve para seguirla. Genial. Pues, hola. Pues eso. Que ahora hablamos las 4 cosas que tenéis por ahí, las dudas. Ya os digo, cosas que ya se saben y cosas que se sabe el cómo va a afectar a la nave y el cómo no y todo eso. Ahora lo hablamos aquí en Twitch. Y la gente que estáis en YouTube, lo he dicho, la gente que veis esto en YouTube, twitch.tv/StoneSeeker79. Estamos en el Road to Partner, estamos en el Road to Odyssey, estamos a 18 de febrero de 2021 y hemos visto este directo de Élite aquí en directo, que espero, ya os digo, espero que os enteréis de algo. Y si no, pues para lo que queráis, pasaros por Twitch en cualquier momento y lo volvéis a preguntar. Y iremos haciendo resúmenes de cosas que sabemos de Odyssey y movidas y los iremos subiendo a YouTube y eso como llevamos haciendo estos días, ¿no? Que estamos ahora aquí. Gente que estáis en Twitch, nos vemos en 2 minutos. Gente que lo veáis en YouTube, ser buenos, comer mucho y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo.